Hey everybody, this is Heather Leah, WRL's Hidden Historian, and I'm out here today in Cameron, North Carolina, where I'm taking you to explore something that I've wanted to see for a long time myself. And it's this group of abandoned tobacco barns. Some of you may have heard of them. They're called the Barnstormer Murals. So I'm going to turn the camera around and go ahead and show you kind of what we're looking at to get started. And there's quite a few to look at, so we're going to walk through and I'm going to show you around. But we'll get started with what I think is one of the cooler ones, which is over here. And then I'll take you through a little wooded grove where there's several more of these abandoned tobacco barns. And I'll tell you the story about them. So you really never know what you're going to find along North Carolina's back roads. I love traveling, just driving across North Carolina and going into some of the more small towns and rural areas, because you really just don't know what you're going to find. So these old, probably pretty antique tobacco barns, we're looking at one right now, these became a very unlikely canvas several decades ago. They were already starting to fall apart, as you can see here. And we'll take a little peek inside too. I mean, you can tell they're completely neglected, vacant. Take a peek inside. You can look right through this one. And so several decades ago, hi there, Lolly. Several decades ago, these were already starting to fall apart and become really neglected. But a group of artists decided that they were going to liven them up just a little bit. And they started coming and painting murals. Now, this happened in the 1990s. So that doesn't sound like too long ago, but when you realize that that's been, 25, 30 years ago, and that these have been neglected ever since, I kind of wondered what condition the murals were in, because at one point, this would have been a vivid, colorful mural. And they're everywhere. Everywhere you look, you're going to see these murals. This is a really pretty building, though it's not painted up. But I'm going to show you, because there's several, and they're all over the place around this intersection. So there was an artist who was from Cameron, which again, very small town. He was from Cameron. I don't think that this is a tobacco barn. Now, I am not from a farm. Someone in the comments, maybe tell me what this is. I'm going to guess maybe chickens? Some sort of animal? And then I don't think a tobacco barn either. I think that I saw actually some stables in there. And then there's a house over here. So they painted more than just the tobacco barns. But anyway, David Ellis grew up here in Cameron, but he was an artist, and his talents took him all the way to New York City. And he went to school there, and he made friends there, artists from all over the world. And he thought to himself, he would just love to see their talents come from all over the globe back here to his small hometown of Cameron, North Carolina, and kind of revitalize some of the antique, dilapidated tobacco barns and houses. Take a look at this. I mean, this is a straight up abandoned home here. And what would happen if they revitalized them and turned them into a really unique art project? And so that's what they did. I'm going to try to get closer here. I don't want to walk too close because the grass is pretty long, and well, I would not like to run into a snake. But so this was, again, several decades ago that they came out here and they painted these murals all over. Now, there is one particular intersection, which I'm going to show you, where most of these can be found. Let me take a look. You can see how long these places have been left to just sit on their own. But the art is still there. And if you ask me, I think the fact that the art has survived this long at all is extremely beautiful and cool. So I wanted to come and see what would these murals look like after several decades of neglect. And that's what we're seeing here today. And I'm going to take you and show you several of the murals. Here's another one. And in fact, in that patch of woods over there, which we're going to go in there are several in there. So anyway, but I wanted to show you the front of this house real quick. You can see the porch out there. Now, really everything out here is just super beautiful. There's a lot of farms. You can see that, we've got I believe that's wisteria. growing off the rooftop. So this kind of untouched, taken over by nature look is very beautiful. It looks like there actually is a some kind of mural over here on this one too. So I've been wanting to come see these for such a long time. They're not far from Raleigh, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, depending on which route you take and where you live. But I just had never gotten the chance to come out here, and today I did, and I wanted to show you. Now, there will be a story that's going to have a more in-depth look at how you can visit them, and of course, more about their history. But I just wanted to at least show them to you today. So you can see the art starting to fade. Looks like here, looks like this might be, some of it you might even have to help me interpret. It looks like there might be some sort of space battle going on here. And then you can see inside the house, pouring out the window, these old wooden crates. So it's this really interesting kind of clash of the antique and the modern. And this whole part of Cameron, there's that one over there, is that clash, right? It's the antique and sort of historic North Carolina, these tobacco barns, colliding with more modern day graffiti style art. And that was David's vision, according to the research I've done, that basically he wanted to have these artists come from New York and Tokyo and kind of bring street art, right? Like big city street art to his hometown, small town, North Carolina. Let's go look in here because there's a lot of really cool graffiti artwork pieces in here, murals. But now the murals themselves have become part of history, right? The murals were meant to add vision and vividness to these fading, abandoned pieces of North Carolina history. But now the murals themselves are starting to become part of that history, because just like the tobacco barns have been forgotten and abandoned and left to really decay, now the murals, as vivid as they once were, are starting to fade and decay and peel as well. Now this one up here, I don't know if that's an original piece of art that was already up there, or if it's meant to look vintage, but maybe was one of the newer pieces of art. I'm not sure. Enjoy. Let me know if anyone can read that. Good to give, good to get. And then you can see that underneath there's these blue waves. So let's take a look. And again, just this down this beautiful rural road of North Carolina in this very small town. And then all of a sudden you just see these old falling apart tobacco barns, and then they're painted up with this New York and big city style graffiti. So these were painted in the 90s, and from what I've read, the group of artists that came out here and painted these barns, they didn't just paint barns. In fact, there were originally lots more murals. There were more barns, there were other things they painted like tractors and homes, but many of them are gone. It sounds like more than half of the murals that they painted back in the 1990s are gone. And so this is really what's left, right? This is what's left that you can visit and look at today. You can see this one kind of hidden behind the trees that are now growing over it. You would miss it from the road. And it looks like maybe some sort of monster attack. And I see what looks to be maybe like an old school radio. Again, if you think you see something in these, let me know, because I'm trying to stream and talk and show you at the same time. So if you think you know what's going on in this artwork, go ahead and mention in the comments. Tell me what your thoughts are. This one over here is one I was pretty excited to see. Where is this? Jennifer, this is in Cameron, North Carolina. And they're called the Barnstormer Murals. So if you do a Google search for Barnstormer Murals, you should find more information. Or, even better, I'm going to have a story up first thing tomorrow. In my story, I will tell you how to find them. I'll tell you the address. But I'm just out here today gathering the information and the photos So I don't have all of that yet. Now the address, I can show you the street sign if you want to see the general area that I'm in. So we got this one here. This is one that I was pretty excited to see for myself. It looks like American Gothic, right? Very famous portrait of the farmer husband and his wife with the grim expressions. But they are what I think to be robots. Other people have said maybe aliens or Martians. And then you've got the American Gothic in the background there. Thank you, Alan, for the link. So this one I think I was pretty excited to see. And then looks like they painted it even with like very, very vivid silver paint. And what I think is really cool is you've got the antique barn as the canvas, then the more modern painting. But now you've got nature coming to become kind of part of the mural as it takes over the mural and the canvas itself. And then we have another one over there through the woods, and we're going to come around here and look at this mural first. And you can see here, we're right here on farmland. So here you go. That's right. So, oh, that's right. You know what, Diane? I remember reading that his father was a pastor for a church. That's right. So then he went away and he brought back his artist friends to come and decorate these barns. So again, the full story will be on WRAL.com tomorrow. I'm just out here today getting the photos and gathering the information, but I can't do a live stream once I'm gone from here. So I have to do the live stream before I do the story. And you can see there was a theme of Pokemon. Now that kind of makes sense because if these were painted in the 90s, that's when Pokemon was really emerging as extremely popular. So I've seen 2 Pokemon murals so far. You can see here we've got several Pokemon coming out from behind the bushes here and then around the side as well. And then one final barn over here. Now, again, I believe there are more. However, many of them have been destroyed. Many of them have been lost over the years. So this is, this is a handful of all that's left, which is kind of sad. It shows something that's this vibrant, beautiful, modern art project. Even that eventually becomes history too, right? We'll take a look at this one here. Looks like we got a cityscape in the background. Really vivid detail. If anyone knows any of the artists, I would love to talk to them and hear their stories. And then we have this one with this mural, which is fading so significantly. This one must be getting hit by the sun more than others. It doesn't have the same protection. And you've got to think, they're out here in those hot North Carolina summers, that blazing sun, and during hurricane season. So these really have taken quite a weathering over the decades that they've been out here. And there's a quote here, which I can't really read. But what I am going to try to do for all of you as I write the story is I will look up, find original photos of these from when they were originally freshly painted, and try to find out what some of these originally said, if they faded too much for us to tell. You can even see inside of them. Though I would not recommend going in there. I don't think it's a safe structure. But you certainly can see them from the road. And here's the view from the road as you're driving in. So for the story, and you can see them hiding back there in the woods, you can still see them. So, oh, and here's one. I believe this is a good Southern dinner, right? Or a Southern dinner that many people would consider traditionally Southern fare. So again, it's very cool to be coming down these very rural roads. You've got the farms alongside, and then all of a sudden you come across these kind of dilapidated tobacco barns, and but they've got this vibrant artwork on them. And that's what you see as you come down the road here. So this is Red Hill Road. You can see from the sign there, Red Hill Road. And again, this is the road that I come down here to get into it. And then they're also in these woods here. So I'm going to walk over to that road and I'll show you the street signs. Now in the story, I also want to learn more about, as I put the story together for tomorrow, I'd like to learn more about the history of the barns themselves, right? How long were these barns here before they were painted. Are they 50 years old? Are they 100 years old? What were they used for? Obviously they were storing tobacco, but I want to research more about the tobacco industry and the history of Cameron, and more about the origin of how these were inspired to begin with. Looks like we missed a mural here on the side. It's hidden behind all those branches. So, oh right, that's right. Let me take you to the street sign. So thank you for exploring these. It's loud out here. There's some kind of farm equipment going by. So I'll show you the street sign in case you want to cruise by and look. You know, obviously don't touch anything out here. Don't go inside any of the buildings. But I do know, waiting for the farmer to go by. I was trying to show it to you, but it went by already. There it goes. So this is something though that you can cruise by and see. Here we go. Stanton Hill. And I believe it was Red Hill. So if you want to cruise by and look at them, they are very visible from the road. It's a really interesting bus. They're very visible from the road, and then there's just a couple hiding in there. I have heard, I've been told, I guess I'll find out today for myself, if you go into downtown Cameron and you talk to some of the antique shop owners, because Cameron is known for its antiques. I've done a few stories out here in Cameron and the history here. But if you go talk to them, some of them will actually be able to tell you where even more of these murals are hidden, right? This is the obvious location where most of them seem to be centered. But the locals will know a lot more about some of the secret ones that are hidden around. So I would definitely encourage you to stop in, talk to some of the locals, and hear their stories as well. And that's what I'm going to try to do today while I'm here. Looks like we're on Red Hill Road and Stanton Hill Road. Yep. So, but again, be respectful. Please don't come here in large numbers and touch all the murals and knock anything down. Be very gentle. You can see many of these from the road. And I will have a story about these tomorrow, including the history and more photos and a lot more information about. Thank you, Amelia. It looks like you know a lot more about some of the things that are happening around behind me than I'm aware of. So thank you both. Thank you all for joining me today. And I hope you'll look for my story tomorrow that'll have a lot more information and pictures. But thanks for joining me for today's live exploration, and I'll see you next time with more hidden history. Bye, everyone.